Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Amitabh Kant, the person who made this spectacular show possible in Germany. Mr. Kant is the man who is handling the Prime Minister's Make in India effort, and I think all of you have seen, this is a 15-minute video. Write to us if you haven't seen it, but it is a must-see. It's got lakhs of hits on YouTube, and we have put it out on social media, so any of you who haven't seen it, write to us. I think this is the kind of thing that we expect from our bureaucrats to lead the country in a way that makes us proud, and we are most honored and privileged that you have accepted our invitation to be here. Mr. Kant epitomizes how we would like the government to work, and it's no surprise that he's one of the few people who instantly accepted our invitation when we said, please speak to us, the people, we the tax-paying, hard-working people who are not a vested interest and who are all members of Moneylife Foundation, because we are not a vote bank and we need to fight extra hard for policymakers to listen to us. And here he is, he said, that is exactly the kind of thing I would like to do, especially when I said that could we have a subject which says Make in India and how we the citizens can contribute. So I hope you're going to take away a lot of interesting things at the end of this presentation. So without further ado, I request you to switch off your mobiles, and I request Devashish Basu to introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Friends, I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Amitabh Kant, who has a deceptively boring title, a job title. He's a Secretary, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, in charge of the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. Nothing can be more boring sounding than that. But friends, this nondescript job title can contribute to creating enormous economic prosperity and lift millions out of poverty, because Mr. Kant is overseeing the ambitious Make in India initiative and improving the ease of doing business initiative, which will unlock investments and create jobs. And nobody could be better suited for that particular job, because he stands out for his extraordinary imagination, drive, and a results-oriented approach, which is rare among government officials. As you probably know, he is the chief architect of two world-class campaigns, God's Own Country and Incredible India, which positioned Kerala and India as leading tourist destinations in the world. Both these campaigns have won several international awards and required executing a host of complex activities all at the same time, which is infrastructure development, product enhancement, public-private partnership, extensive market research, which led to the final positioning and branding. Mr. Kant also conceptualized and executed the Atithi Devo Bhava, that is, Guest is God campaign, to train taxi drivers, guides, and immigration officials and make them stakeholders in the tourism development process. Mr. Amitabh Kant was the National Project Director of Rural Tourism Project of UNDP, which created a paradigm shift in spreading tourism to Indian villages, which had core competency in areas like handicrafts, handloom, and various aspects of our unique culture. He has shared all this extraordinary experience in a book titled Branding India, an incredible story, and just a few copies we managed to procure are all available here for sale at a discount. Mr. Keith Bellows, editor-in-chief of National Geographic Traveler, called the Incredible India campaign as a master stroke of international branding that showcased the largest democracy in the world, with 28 states, 7 union territories, 18 official languages, and 1.2 billion people spread across 3.29 million square kilometers of breathtaking geography and history. To build brand Kerala as a God's own country tag in the early 1990s, Mr. Kant went back to the very roots of culture and tradition in Kerala, highlighting Ayurveda, art forms, boat races, tiger trails, and cuisine. In the process, the project brought back carpenters who had migrated to the Gulf to work on things like houseboats. At the end of it, Kerala was one of the top 10 destinations in the world, and Mr. Kant was then summoned to New Delhi to work on an even more ambitious project, which is the branding of India itself. It was, by the way, horrible timing, because he landed in Delhi right after the 9/11 attack. Who could have thought of tourism at that stage? Thereafter, the Indian Parliament was attacked, and even countries like Singapore, Malaysia had cut their tourism budgets. The world was in a pall of gloom. But Mr. Kant believed in the India story and launched the Atithi Dev Bhava campaign and the Incredible India campaigns, replicating the Kerala success story on a much more larger scale. This managed to bring demand back, promoting India as a multi-product destination, larger than the 24 European countries put together. This super achiever is now the custodian of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Make in India initiative. The goal is to make India an easy place to do business, make India part of the global supply chain, liberalize the FDI regime, make India an R&D powerhouse, and so on. In order to do all of this, and this is a very tough job, India will have to create the hard and soft infrastructure. But this is extremely complex and made even more difficult because given the plethora of maddening rules and regulations that hobble businesses, and I'm sure Mr. Kant is very much aware of that. We know that almost 83% of jobs in India are created by small and medium enterprises, and that's where the government's thrust should be. We will wait to hear from him the progress he's made so far in making existing business capacity deliver more and encourage new capacities to come up. I'm sure all of us, the citizens, have a lot to contribute because we are the ones who come across these maddening rules and regulations either as a consumer or as a producer. And I'm sure Mr. Kant would be willing to listen to us. Starting as a district collector, Kozhikode, Mr. Kant has contributed significantly to every single position that he has held as a MD, Kerala State Industrial Development Corporation, Secretary Tourism Kerala, CMD, ITDC, Joint Secretary Ministry of Tourism, and so on. During his tenure, he structured the Calicut Airport as a private sector project. He was also responsible for introducing new technology like fiberglass crafts and outdoor motor for fishermen and launching beach level auctions which substantially increased their revenues. Mr. Kant has also been involved with Delhi Mumbai Industrial Corridor Corporation, which is being developed by the government as a global manufacturing and investment destination. The DMIC will develop futuristic smart industrial cities along an industrial corridor. If India emerges as a manufacturing powerhouse over the next 10 years, we would know whom to thank for. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a rousing welcome to Mr. Kant so that we can hear his speech.
Thanks, Devashish, for those kind words, and Sucheta for organizing this. I want to really thank Moneylifers for organizing this interaction. Devashish has given such a long introduction, you almost made my presentation. So I really don't have to speak much. I just moved from Kerala to Delhi, and right after that, this 9/11 incident happened, but the most vivid memory of Delhi that I have is I just landed from Kerala, from God's own country, to Delhi, and Mr. Vajpayee, who was then the Prime Minister, was having a meeting of the chief ministers, and Mr. Jagmohan was my minister, so he took me along, and he said, "You've just come to Delhi as Joint Secretary, you come along, you prepare the brief," and I went along with him. And these chief ministers' conferences, all the chief ministers are seated, speeches are printed. I'm saying this because Suchita said that, why don't you have a printed speech and circulate it also, your presentation? I said, no more printing, because I remembered this. So they start alphabetically and then the chief ministers speak. So first was Andhra and Chandrababu Naidu, and then we and Lalu Prasad Yadav started speaking. So he spoke the first and the second. And then, suddenly Mulayam Singh Yadav got up he was the chief minister of UP, got up and he said, sir, point of order, point of order. So Mr. Vajpayee said, bhai, ye point of order to parliament mein hota hai, chief ministers conference mein nahi hota hai. So he said, no sir, point of order, point of order. Then Mr. Vajpayee said, kya baat hai? Mulayam ji, kya baat hai? He said, sahab, ye to meri speech padhte chale ja rahe hain, main kya padhunga jab mera turn aayega. We are talking about Make in India in the context of Mr. Mulayam Singh Yadav and Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav. I was finding it, I had committed to coming here today. And, long time back when I got this Twitter message from Suchita, and I had said I'll come. I was finding it extremely, extremely difficult today to come because of official work in Delhi, and then I requested my joint secretary, Mr. Atul Chaturvedi, who's sitting here, that why don't you do the presentation? So he said, sir, I'm not equipped because I'll be like Einstein's driver. So I said, what is Einstein's driver? So he said that, sir, he narrated me the story that this, Einstein had actually won the Nobel Prize, and he was going around giving speeches. So in UK, he had given about 300 plus speeches. And wherever he used to go to all these universities, science institutions everywhere, his driver used to accompany him, and so this driver heard him over about 320 odd times speech, again and again, again and again. So then Einstein got this invitation from Harvard University, and he was going to America for the first time. So this driver said that, sir, I've heard you 320 times and I think I can give a better speech than what you can ever give. So they went to Harvard, and this Einstein said, okay, you give the speech, let me see. So they went to Harvard, and this driver got up and gave a brilliant speech, really brilliant speech. It was a spectacular speech, better than what Einstein had ever given. Then this dean, sitting there, he said, ladies and gentlemen, now, such a brilliant speech, we must have a question-answer session. He asked this student, and this student got up, the brightest guy in that class got up and asked him a really complex, very difficult, very complicated question. And said that your question is so simple, so easy, that even my driver sitting in the audience can reply. So, I'll make the presentation, but if you have any questions, please ask Mr. Atul Chaturvedi to reply to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, actually bureaucrats have a very bad reputation, and normally everything is blamed on bureaucrats, and they say that between North and South Block, they manage to block just about everything. So I will try and give you a presentation on 3 campaigns with which I've been associated with, and these are public campaigns. These are not private campaigns, they are about public brand building. And there's a difference between corporate brands and public brands. And corporate brands are, an advertising agency, and I've also requested Mr. V. Sunil, who's been the creative director, to be here. Sunil, will you get up for a minute? He's been the creative director of Incredible India and Make in India. So he's worked with me for a very long time. And so when, advertising creative people like him work with corporate brands, it's far easier because, corporates actually control manufacturing, they control pricing, control production, they control its strategy, everything. And it's far more easier for corporate brands to do their branding strategy. But it's very difficult, extremely difficult. You know, in public campaigns, it's difficult because, you know, if you were to look at tourism campaigns about which I'll talk about, you're dealing with taxi drivers, immigration officers, tour operators, travel agents, airlines, a whole host of players on whom you don't have control. And your objective is that your brand must match the reality on ground, and they are actually the brand custodians. So the challenge is really to make everybody a part of that campaign. And therefore, there's a world of a difference between a corporate brand and a public branding process. And, you know, I've always believed that in government, as government officer, I've always believed in working with some of the best creative minds who've partnered me in this process of brand building. And I think V. Sunil is one of the most extraordinary people. I've worked with Piyush Pandey, I've worked with Santosh Sivan. These are some of the best people around. But you know, in 2000, I just finished my 2001, I just finished my term as secretary to Kerala, and I was picked up to be in Delhi, and I just landed in Delhi when the Twin Towers, the 9/11 incident happened. And one after that, you know, this was a huge crisis. One after that, there were a number of crises which India was confronted with. Gujarat earthquake, withdrawal by airlines, attack on our parliament, the airline industry to India. And actually hotels, very few hotels we had, but even they were working to 10 to 15% occupancy. And so we talked to our international tour operators, and we said that we'll, you know, those times everything was sold through packages printed in a brochure. And we said, we will support you on the brochure, you sell and market India. But they said there's no consumer demand for India. Nobody wants to come to India. There's too much of a crisis. And at that time, you know, every single destination, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, everyone had cut down on their budget. And it was at that peak of the crisis, we started this Incredible India initiative. And this was at the peak of the crisis. And we did. So if you look at this, if you look at that period, if you look at the Travel and Tourism Competitive Index, India was very poorly rated. There were very key international concerns about cleanliness, hygiene, safety, security, transportation. And the image perception of India was extremely poor as a tourism destination. It had very poor air connectivity at that point of time, extremely poor air connectivity at that point of time. You know, but the same survey also said that globally, people felt that India was extremely rich in terms of culture and heritage. And therefore, they said there's a huge potential. They said India was viewed in terms of authenticity, its history, its art and culture as extremely good. And that, you know, if India was to push its tourism, it can create many jobs, and it can create a huge amount of employment in India, and that it can be a very major driver of growth and major driver of employment. And that there was a huge untapped potential for growth as far as India is concerned in the world of tourism. And that actually, if India was to drive its travel and tourism in the next decade, India could outstrip China to be the world's leading player in travel and tourism destination. So at that peak of the crisis, there were a whole lot of negatives, but there was a whole lot of potential when we started this Incredible India campaign. And we decided that we'll position tourism as a major driver of economic growth, that it will be position India as a global brand. And we did a lot of research around that time, and we said that there'll be certain markets which we'll defend, certain market which we'll invest for the future, and certain market which we'll seed, like China and Russia, etc. So a lot of research we had done around this. And our communication strategy was extremely simple. I've always believed that there has to be consistency, there has to be clarity in policy, and it should be based on a certain amount of research and innovation. But tourism is essentially a multi-sectoral activity. It's not that tourism ministry alone can drive it. You're dependent on Home Ministry, External Affairs Ministry for visa, you're dependent on handloom, handicraft, you're dependent on Culture Ministry, you're dependent on a whole host of, so you have to make all these players play along with you. And my own experience actually was based on what I'd done earlier in Kerala. And Kerala was, nobody had heard of Kerala in mid-90s as a tourism destination. Everybody used to go to Kashmir at that point of time. But you know, in mid-90s, you know, the only product Kerala had was Kovalam. We used to get charter full of flights to Kovalam. We used to get charter full of cobblers and garbage collectors from Manchester, and they used to spend 10, 15 pounds a night for Kovalam Beach. And actually Kovalam Beach by that time had become totally devastated. Extremely huge amount of encroachments had taken place, excessive amount of dirt and filth on the beaches. So we decided that we'll completely change the strategy and take Kerala up on a different strategy of a high value tourism destination and focus on its roots, go back to its roots. Rather than ape the West, there was a time when sun, sand and sea were very famous as tourism products. But we changed that strategy and we said we'll develop Kerala into a very premier destination in the world tourism market for upmarket destination and create a standalone destination. And we said we will not develop the product, but we'll be a facilitator, we'll be a catalyst, we will private sector to build this, and we will actually work in partnership. And I've always believed in whatever job I've done that we need to work with the public. So we said we'll act as a catalyst, facilitator for local entrepreneurship to grow and flourish. So that was a time when we created new products. We created totally new products. We created the backwaters of Kerala, was a completely new product. Nobody had heard of the backwaters of Kerala, but it was one of the most unique products of the world. A very fascinating product because the houseboat just moves on and you have whole civilization of people living next to these backwaters, and so you actually interact with the community when you're on a houseboat. Unlike Kashmir, where the houseboat is stationary, here the houseboat floats onto the backwaters, and you see the living style of the people, and actually it's a great interaction with the community. So we created a new product called the backwaters. These were the traditional rice boats of Kerala. On as Debashish mentioned, all the carpenters had moved away to Gulf. Many of them came back. One young entrepreneur we started off with, who did a fascinating job of developing this houseboat. And this is a houseboat which became a tourism product. And this was a unique product of the backwaters of Kerala. We went back to its roots to discover its Ayurveda. And we said it's not about massage, it's a regimen, it's a therapy. You need to go through an Ayurvedic regimen for about 15 to 21 days. So that led to the number of days you need to spend on a holiday much longer. And we advocated it as a way of life. And we did everything which the West did not. We went back to the roots of Kerala. We went back to the ancient cultural roots of Kerala. We went back to its elephant pageants. We went back to its traditional boat races. We went back to, we initiated a unique product called the Tiger Trail in Periyar Game Sanctuary, where we trained poachers, and we took poachers and converted them guides, and we put money for 2 years first, and then they went back to poaching, and we then finally put money for 5 years in their bank account, and they became the best guides of anywhere in the world. Best guides are in Periyar Game Sanctuary. So this Tiger Trail product we created, and we created these tree huts. We went back to the traditional martial arts, which is the mother of all martial arts of the traditional cuisine of Kerala. We went on to, there was a lovely film on Kerala by Santosh Shivan. That was the first commercial made by any tourism destination, and Kerala went on to be rated as one of the 10 exotic paradises of the world. It won several awards. For 7 years it went on to be the best tourism states of the world as far as tourism destinations concerned. It was it won several awards, and to Kerala developed. And then I was posted to Delhi, and you know, when I reached Delhi, this I mentioned about the Twin Tower blast, and several things happened, and the challenge was to revive consumer demand. And at the peak of that crisis, we launched the Incredible India initiative. This is not a water image of, this is not Taj turned upside down, but it's a water image of Taj by one of the leading photographers of the world called Steve McCurry. And we played around with this stripe of the tiger here. We played around with the shadow here on Incredible India. We played with this lady in the deserts of Rajasthan, and we went back again to the roots of India in terms of yoga, meditation, reflexography in meditation in Himalayas, a reflexography in the desert of Rajasthan, and again Ayurveda in the backwaters of Kerala. And we kept innovating on this campaign, and again you'll see the colors of India, and again in Hampi, and we said get rid of 21st century stress, stand for 5,000 years. To bring in a little humor, we had this tiger, and we said not all Indians are polite, hospitable, and vegetarian. And we said, and to think these days men get away by giving flowers and chocolate to their wives. And Buddhism, a step-to-step guide to salvation, and with this we said don't panic, there's always rebirth. And we, let me see if I get the sound right somehow. So just to give you several things that we did, you know, we did a lot of outdoor marketing in terms of taxis, buses, trams. This was in Berlin. A lot of, I'm quickly taking you through what kind of publicity that we did for Incredible India around. A whole lot of initiative things, but to my mind, branding is not about advertising. Branding has nothing to do with advertising. It is about good advertising, but it's about delivery on ground. You can't have a bad product and say that you want to do advertising. It will never work. So you have to create a good product on ground. And therefore, one of the challenges was that we improved the quality of our heritage sites, and we focused on Ajanta. As you will see, this was how it was with the finest heritage site. You couldn't see. You could see it with handheld torches. There was encroachment, number of shops there. There were very poor parking, very poor signages. We changed all that. We greened up the whole area. We took about 365 shops, relocated them about almost 1.5 kilometers away. We introduced eco-friendly buses. We brought in fiber optic lighting. We did conservation and preservation. This is all very unique work which was done to revive Ajanta Ellora as a tourism destination. And Hardwar, which is the fountainhead of our civilization, full of garbage, full of filth. We cleaned up the ghats, we did lighting there. Mahabalipuram, again a unique heritage site. We did a lot of work around greening, conservation, preservation. World Heritage Site, again, we did unique work there in terms of making it a great destination. But you know, tourism is something which has to be owned by the people of people of India. You know, tourism is a civilizational issue. Unless people don't own it, it'll never work in the long run. If people don't take ownership, and one of our challenge was to educate people about it. Let me see if I can.
Come closer.
People are watching.
Doesn't matter. Someday our grandchildren will come here and marvel at how romantic we were. 100 साल पहले मुझे तुमसे प्यार.
100 साल बाद जब यहाँ कोई आएगा, कहेगा कौन इडियट लिख के गया है.
What are you doing?
Exactly what you were doing. Children, the monument which uncle was trying to deface is 2000 years old.
2000 years.
Our monuments are our heritage, our legacy, our pride. It's our duty to protect and preserve them. Come forward and resist.
To Incredible India, we launched a campaign called Atiti Devo Bhava just to educate people that it's their heritage, they need to conserve, they need to preserve. And then we did a lot of work, as I said, around monuments. This is Humayun tomb, how it was before, what we did after conservation, preservation. We lit up all these lovely monuments around Delhi, and again, on dirt and filth.
Hey! You made it shine! You made it shine!
जब भी आप अपना शहर गंदा करते हैं तो यूं ही समझिए कि आप अपना घर गंदा कर रहे हैं। अपने शहर को साफ रखने के लिए कचरा पेटी का इस्तेमाल कीजिए।
Because we believe that it's people who must own a destination. This is people who have to actually control and run tourism product. And along with this, we did several things. India was just a destination for 5-star hotels at that point of time. Other than Taj and Oberoi, we just didn't have budget hotels, so we focused on budget hotels. We focused the domestic tourism. Actually, people started going within domestic areas. Tourism boomed domestically. There's young Indians, very bright young Indians who came back. Several of them came back from Harvard and Stanford and started. Make My Trip was started by somebody from Stanford. There was a reverse brain drain, and all these actually, all this online movement which you saw was a consequence of this India initiative, and many of these tourism went online at that period of time. Because of a marketing-led strategy, we opened up our air. Many budget carriers came in. All these budget carriers which you see right now is a consequence of that initiative. So domestic sector grew and boomed. International carrier, I still remember it took, once when I was in Joint Secretary, I just joined, somebody had to fly down from London. It took almost 9-10 days to get a seat. Seats were just not available. Now we've opened up that international route fully, and international tourism grew. There's a whole focus around consequence of a marketing-led strategy on new airport development. So these new airports, Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, all of them as a consequence of that initiative. And new infrastructure came up in India. Medical, we started new products, medical tourism, where India has a core competency in several areas. Rural tourism, and I believe huge potential on which we focused on. We focused on about 50 rural products where India has a unique advantage in terms of art, culture, and so on. So rural tourism, just to give you an example of what we did in terms of job creation in Anegundi, in very close to Hampi. We did Raghurajpur, which is almost like a complete art gallery. Every single house is a house of an artist. So we, Raghurajpur, it's one of the most fascinating villages anywhere in the world. We did another village called Hudka in Gujarat, and this was again initiative of the local people whom we supported, and they run one of the finest tourism product in Hudka in the Kutch district of Gujarat. So we had picked up about, just to give you some case studies of what has happened, we opened up our Andaman to very sustainable tourism, and I think the way forward in terms of innovativity and sustainability. And the tourism arrivals grew, huge growth, and almost doubled in that period. But more than that, I think per capita earnings from tourists went up. So earnings went up enormously during that period. Foreign exchange earnings went up very enormously. But I still feel that though through the Incredible India campaign, there was a huge focus in terms of infrastructure, new products, greater earning, greater tourist arrivals, the huge potential of travel and tourism is untapped for a very vast country like India. It's easy to brand a single product destination like Maldives or Mauritius. Is very difficult to brand a multi-product destination like India. But I think Incredible India comes very close to it. But the vast potential of travel and tourism has not yet been fully tapped. And that's largely because state politicians and states haven't realized the immense potential of job creation, which tourism brings in. And that is what Kerala has demonstrated, that all jobs have not come from industries. Imagine if cement factories were put up close to the backwaters of Kerala. It would have devastated Kerala. So tourism has created huge jobs, and particularly for the women, a huge number of jobs. And I think every single state must use its tourism potential to drive job creation through tourism. So I feel that there's a huge potential. Tourism is a $4.6 trillion economy. It creates employment, 250 million employment, which we've not tapped as yet. But I did this Incredible India campaign, and then much later I was brought in to do the Make in India initiative. And Make in India is a very, very different campaign. It's a very, travel and tourism is a little softer. Make in India is about making India grow, and my view is that India needs to grow at rates of 9 to 10% per annum, year after year, year after year, year after year, for 3 decades or more, to be able to create jobs for a very young population. I think the challenge is about creating jobs, and creating jobs for a young population. Every single Indian must become a job creator rather than a job seeker. All of us apply for jobs, but we don't do entrepreneurship. We must become job creators. And if India needs to do that, we need to build up a whole movement around incubation, prototyping, about innovation, about design. And Make in India is about all that. It's about, firstly, it's about, you know, I'm listed down when we did the Make in India initiative, we listed down certain pillars of what can make India a great manufacturing nation. Because India has essentially grown on the back of the services sector. 60% of our GDP comes from the services sector. Our manufacturing sector accounts for just about 16.5, 16.6% of its GDP, which is extremely poor for a country with a population of 1.2 billion. And let me assure you that many of us thought that actually services sector will drive India's growth. But there are huge perils of a country of our size growing on the back of only services sector. It has long-term repercussions of bypassing the process of manufacturing. So you necessarily have to do manufacturing to create jobs. And unless you don't do this, you'll land up in severe problems over a long period of time by doing growth without jobs. And that is severe. So when we did the Make in India initiative, we said we need to have new R&D, new processes, new mindset, a new infrastructure, new innovation, new sectors. And to my mind, the most important thing to understand is that India's manufacturing has not grown because we in government, across states, across central government, have made India an extremely complex, a very, very complicated and a very difficult place to do business. Young people, when they want to do business, find it extremely difficult to do business because there's so many approvals in place. I mean, every goddamn place you have to go with paper, get approval, sanction from different levels, and you have to go for hundreds of approvals. So, to my mind, India can grow as a manufacturing nation if and only if we are able to dismantle, if we are able to deregulate ourselves, if we are able to do away with paperwork, procedures, rules, regulation, and this requires a complete mindset. And I've been working on this about making India an easy place to do business for the last about 9 to 10 months, and it's a huge, huge challenge about changing the mindset of people about dismantling processes, procedures, paperwork, regulation, rules, and putting everything online. Just don't, you know, so last 8-9 months we've tried to just do away with papers and put everything online in one single place. And one of the key things which we have tried to do is actually use technology to converge, to integrate, to leapfrog. How do we converge and integrate technology? Technology makes that all possible today. And one of the things we've tried to do is to create an e-biz platform. And in this e-biz platform, we've put 14 Government of India services, all integrated them together. Infosys has worked with us, 14 services we've integrated. And our objective is that by the end of the year, we'll have 26 Government of India services, and we'll have 10 states. So 26 Government of India services, 10 states, all integrated through the e-biz platform. And our objective is that there'll be one single paper, one point of payment, so that you don't have to go for running for your labor identification number, for your PAN number, for your DIN number, you know, so today you're running for your corporate identity number, for your income tax identity number, for your labor identity number, all. So what this e-biz platform will do, it has put all the services together, but by end of the year, what we'll do is to have one form with common fields so that you can have one single identification number and one single point of payment, which payment can then get apportioned between central government, state government, and panchayats where the payment need to be made. Now this is an extremely tough, and I'll tell you, I've had very, very difficult time with a whole range of departments. Some have been very supportive, some have been very, very difficult. But it's really been pushed hard, and we've managed to push 14 services of Government of India together. But by the end of the year, I'm quite hopeful that we'll have 26 services. We'll have about 10 states all together in one platform. eBiz platform is called. The second thing that we've done, and these are a number of reforms that we've in addition to all that, we've done a number of, other than eBiz, we've done several reforms. We've done several reforms. For instance, for MSME, you had a 22-page form. 22-page form, we brought it down to just one page for medium. And it's very important because 84% of the jobs are created by the MSME sector. 66% of the jobs in India are created by micro enterprises. So bringing that form down to one page. For import and export, you required 11 and 7 forms. 11 and 7, we brought them down to just 3 forms. We've taken out 60% of the items which are required for defense manufacturing away from licensing. You can get into defense manufacturing without any licensing. So a whole spate of work has been done here. So the third thing that we've done is, and I think that's very important, that we ran a competition. We listed down 98 things, because I feel that it's not just the central government, it's the states which have to become the champion of actually India's growth. If 10 states grow at rapid pace of 10 to 11%, India will grow automatically. So what we did was we listed down 98 points, and we said these are the points on which states must make their states easy. And in December last year, we called a conference of chief secretaries. All the chief secretaries accepted them, and we ran a competition saying that by June end you will have to achieve this. And all the states worked together towards it. And let me tell you, Maharashtra did a lot of work. Even states like West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, they've done a lot of work around this. And we've finished that. And then we listed down about 260 question answers, whether you've achieved it in terms of documents, whether it's online, what have you put all your labor forms together, whole lot of work. And that competition, we are, the World Bank is just vetting our study. We'll announce shortly that who are the best performing states and which are the worst performing states. So our objective is to really name and shame the states in terms of which are the easiest states to work in and which are the most difficult and most complicated states to work in. And this study will be out in the next week or 10 days. So this is what we've done. Second thing that we've done is to make India an extremely liberal, if you want to be a manufacturing nation, you have to be a part of a global supply chain. Items come in, items have to go out, and you can't be a closed economy. No economy has become a manufacturing nation. If you look at China, look at Korea, look at Japan, by being a closed economy. So we have opened up various sectors. We opened up railways, construction, medical devices, defense, insurance, pension funds, telecom sector, single brand retail. A lot of this we've opened to foreign direct investment, and actually foreign direct investment has grown by about 48% in India since the launch of the Make in India initiative, as at a time when FDI across the world has fallen by 16%. FDI across the world has fallen by 16%, in India has grown by 48%. So that's the opening up of the economy. I think it's important that we keep pushing for opening of the Indian economy, keep making India an easier place to do business. That's the way other countries have grown. Now, so I said that FDI has grown by about 48%. The third thing, so we've created in West India, a wing of ours called Invest India, and when you get on to Make in India, whatever queries you ask, go to Invest India. And Invest India has a team of very young, dedicated workers, very young boys and girls who respond to queries, much like how Moneylife works. It's all online, 48 hours you get a response. Anywhere in the world you can ask a query, within 48 hours you'll get a response on anything relating to investment. And this is, our whole initiative is mobile first, is driven online, is driven by technology. And the third key thing to making India a great manufacturing destination destination, is to develop your infrastructure and make it world class. So we are doing several infrastructure projects. First and foremost, the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. It takes about 14 days for goods produced in the northern part of India to reach ports on the western coast of India. By 2018 beginning, a new dedicated freight corridor carrying only containers will put goods in the JNPT port within 14 hours. So from 14 days to 14 hours will be the paradigm shift. 14 days to 14 hours. So the logistic costs in India are very, very high. And therefore, this will bring down the logistic cost of movement. The same thing with the, we are doing the Chennai-Bangalore Industrial Corridor because the Japanese said that all the top companies, Nissan, Toyota, Honda, they're all manufacturing there, but they're manufacturing not for India alone, they're manufacturing for the world. But it takes a long time for them to ship out their cars. So they said you need to put our goods into the port in Chennai, which is one of the slowest ports, to allow it to move very fast to the exports. If you don't bring in efficiency into your port management, we will never be able to export. So we are doing this Chennai-Bangalore corridor, we are doing the Bangalore-Mumbai corridor, we are doing the Chennai-Vizag industrial corridor, and basically we are looking at the future of India through these industrial corridors. They will connect all these major places, and we are creating smart cities on the back of these corridors. New industrial smart cities, large smart cities on the back of these corridors. And one of the key things is, how do we use technology in these new cities, industrial cities, to leapfrog? So all of them are getting embedded with ICT backbones, all of them. And so essentially, I think the important thing for driving manufacturing India to 9 to 10% growth rate is to develop infrastructure, and this is what we are doing. So as I mentioned, we have this Invest India, which responds to queries, and we are doing this 100 Smart Cities initiative. This is a unique program because we must understand that by 2030, 350 million Indians will move into the process of urbanization. By 2050, the latest McKinsey study shows that 700 million Indians will move into the process of urbanization. As I speak here today, every minute there are 30, whether we like it or not, 30 Indians move from rural areas to urban areas. So urbanization will continue unabated, and we keep doing unplanned, totally unplanned urbanization. We are making every single city of India a slum. And therefore you need to do planned sustainable urbanization. Planned sustainable urbanization, and that is what the smart cities planning is all about. And the challenge is that when urbanization was done across America, across Europe, land, gas and water were cheaply available, and because they were cheaply available, they made sprawling cities. You could travel from New Jersey to New York, guzzle gas. You could create a city like Atlanta where 98.2% of the people travel by car, so your pollution levels are very high. Now India can't have this luxury. So India will have to create cities which are embedded on the back of mass transit systems, public transportation systems. That has to be the key. That has to be the key of urbanization. The key of urbanization is that 70 to 75% of the people must travel by mass transit system. Only 10 to 15% of the people must use the car. Cities must be for people. American cities are meant for cars. They are not meant for people. Indian cities must be made for people, for cycling, for walking, and not for cars. And that is the reorientation we need to do for our urban planning. And therefore, to my mind, there's a huge opportunity, because urbanization has ended across America, it has ended across Europe, it is nearing its completion in China. In India, it has just started. In India, the process of urbanization has just started. We will do more urbanization in the next 4 decades than what we've done in the last 500 years. And therefore, there's an opportunity to do it in an extremely innovative and sustainable manner. It can become a model for the rest of the world. And the important thing is that what has been unleashed today is because several things have mobile technology. Simply because we have 950 mobiles, we add about 9 million mobiles a month. we have unique identity, and we have bank accounts which is being pushed off. So you have this unique ability today to link up your mobile phone, Aadhaar, Jandhan all together to create a future through mobile technology. Just skip processes of technology. Make a quantum jump by doing technology jumping. That's the only way India can grow. So use technology to leapfrog in several areas. And I think Skill India is the key, and I think what India needs to do is to do what Germany did in terms of dual technology. That is, manufacturers must train, manufacturers must build their curriculum, and government must support them, and that is what India is attempting to do, because you are passing through a window of demographic transition which rarely happens in history. And if India is not able to utilize this effectively, I think the downsides will be enormous. So I think skill training really holds the key to many things. Important thing is that, what India is witnessing is something unique, and that is about innovation, it's about technology, and it's about entrepreneurship. And Renault, in its 118 years of history as a European company, has for the first time in its history of 118 years designed, innovated, and manufactured a car. 98% of its manufacturing items have all come from within India. It's the Renault Kwid. First time in its history of 118 years, and they say that the best designing, the best innovation, the best skills have happened in India, in Chennai. And this is for the first time that a car has been completely designed by Renault for the global markets. General Electric, its ECG, which they manufacture for $15,000 US in the United States of America, they've developed that for $1,500 in India. It's possible in India to do ECG for $1 each, and as compared to about $15 in the United States of America. I mean, Jaipur Foot is a unique example. The Gillette blade which they did is a unique example of what has been done in India. Our own Mars mission at 1/10 the cost of what the United States of America has done. And what it demonstrates is India's unique ability to do innovation, blend technology, and do frugal engineering. Low cost, but not low technology. And I think that is really the heart of manufacturing, and that is what India has done in compact car manufacturing. India is the center for compact car manufacturing. Hyundai came into India looking at its domestic market, but today exports 52% of its production to 123 countries across the world. Volvo came looking at the domestic market, but is exporting its buses made here for Europe. Bombardier came here looking for metro trains. Is manufacturing, has just submitted the biggest export order for the metros in Queensland, Australia. So many of these people came here and suddenly realized that the cost of manufacturing, the skills of manufacturing, your technology, your innovation enables you to manufacture for the rest of the world. And we are a large consumer market, a B2B market, very large B2C market. We are an innovation lab for companies combining technology, design, and innovation. But I think one of the key things that's happening in the last 2 to 3 years, particularly after the last budget, where we cleaned up our act as far as venture fund taxation was concerned. And if there's any other issue, please bring it to our notice. But a number of initiatives were taken, and what it's led to is a whole lot of venture funds supporting startups in India. We are witnessing a huge innovation in terms of startups by young people. It's happening in the digital world. We need to spread it to manufacturing. We need to spread it to agriculture. We need to spread it to social entrepreneurship. So I think we are in the midst of a unique startup boom, which we need to take it further on. But there's one big thing that's happening in India, and that is research and development. And if you look at the story of Hyderabad and Bangalore, that in the last 4 to 5 years, almost 1,200 multinational corporations have relocated their research and development to Hyderabad and Bangalore. R&D has shifted out of the head offices of many multinational corporations' head offices, and shifted to Bangalore and Hyderabad, and they've created close to about 500,000 jobs in India. So I think we've become a great powerhouse of R&D. I think in the Make in India initiative, we've looked at about 25 sectors. And these are sectors where India has the potential to be a global champion. Automobiles to auto components, in aviation, biotechnology, chemicals, all these sectors, construction, defense, and defense to my mind is a huge opportunity waiting for India. We are the biggest importers. We have the possibility of becoming the biggest exporters. Food processing, these are labor-intensive sectors. Food processing, there's no reason why we should lose our position to Bangladesh and Vietnam in textiles. Electronic systems, electrical machinery, IT, BPM, leather, media entertainment, mining, oil and gas. So pharmaceuticals, where again we are a very leading player in terms of reverse engineering, but we need to innovate further. We are a very leading pharma manufacturer. We've captured global markets, renewable energy, railway manufacturing, and a vast range of areas where a lot of work has been done. So we have the possibility and potential to be global champions in many of these areas which we've identified as the Make in India sectors. You know, India's brand power, if you look at it, it's much beyond tourism. There's the soft power of India in terms of its culture, in terms of its Bollywood, in terms of its cricket, its cuisine, and there's the hard soft power of India in terms of its manufacturing, information technology, communication growth, urbanization, etc. And I think brand building is about India achieving consistent levels of growth. It's about infrastructure radically improving. It's about better civic governance, widespread gains of health and education, and a very rapid fall in poverty levels. And in all this, I think citizens need to play a very critical role. And I think as we become a modern, and the challenge really is that India must grow at rates of 9 to 10%. It must become a modern, contemporary, confident, and vibrant nation. But while it becomes a modern, contemporary, confident, vibrant nation, it must retain its heritage, its culture, its core values. And I think that is what we are all aiming at, that it will become a confident nation.
Both acha.
India, incredible India.
You know, I wanted to touch a little bit on the role of the common man. And you know, as far as the Make in India initiative is concerned, I think the role of the common man is extremely critical. I've taken you through what are the challenges for India into becoming a nation which has to grow at rates of 9 to 10%. And if that can never, this growth can never be achieved unless and until all of us don't play our role. All of us. And I tell you, every single activity that I've done, whether it was in Kerala is God's own country, and I showed you some initiatives of that in terms of culture, backwater, civilization, houseboat. All of them were because of some local good entrepreneur. And Kerala is a unique product of local entrepreneurship. Similarly, I showed you those films on Incredible India, about cleanliness, about writing on maintaining a heritage site. All these are people's issues. Unless and until people don't take it up as a challenge, India can never change. Tourism is all about being a civilizational issue. And I think similar thing is with manufacturing, about Make in India. That actually a common man is both a giver and a taker. And as a giver, his multifold contribution emanates from his role as a student, as a worker, as a professional, as an innovator, as a manufacturer. And while in return he receives in different capacities skills, he receives employment, he receives better business environment, opportunity to showcase his entrepreneurial talent, avenues to enhance his earning, and better quality and varied product. So I think unless and until we don't give to the nation, you can't expect better results without this. So there's a give and take. And to my mind, it's very important to, and that's why I stressed on this, that India needs to become a very, very easy and a very, very simple place to do business. A common man must be able to become an entrepreneur by just one simple thing. One mouse stroke, one stroke. If we can open a Yahoo account, if we can open a Gmail account in 1 minute, there's no reason why we should not be able to open our business in 1 minute. India must enable businessmen to do their business in 1 minute. And therefore, to my mind, the key challenge is that we should make, there should be, we need to dismantle our acts, because there should be no form in India which should be more than 1 page. There should be no rules which are more than 2 pages. And there should be no acts which are more than 3 pages. And I think unless we don't follow these rules, no form more than 1 page, no rules which are more than 2 pages, no acts which are more than 3 pages, we just need to make India simple, because we've made India extremely complex, which even the people who've drafted, even the politicians who've passed it, they just don't understand themselves. So I think simplicity needs to be brought into the whole process of thinking. And I think important, to my mind, there's a huge amount of focus which needs to be laid on skill development. We've taken a number of initiatives to enhance the skills, but I think a huge focus needs to be laid on skill development. And there are several initiatives with the skill mission has taken. We've initiated a new Ministry of Skill Development. We have used the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana as the objective of providing certified skills in skill courses. We are doing a recognition of prior learning through the RPL scheme. For almost around 34 lakh youth seeking to attend skill development program over the next 5 years, a whole lot of loans are being given to people working on skills. And I think as an innovator, we have a huge pool of young, talented, enthusiastic, creative innovators. We are starting this Atal Innovation Mission. We are doing this IPR awareness programs. One of the tragedies of India is that out of all the patents that are being registered, only 22% of the patents, 22% of the patents only are being registered by Indians. 78% of the patents are being registered by international companies. And therefore we need to make, we've put everything online in patents today. We're recruiting 1,000 patent examiners to bring our pendency to 0 level in patents. The challenge really is that we should allow young Indian entrepreneurs, our IITs, our IIMs, our government research departments like DRDO, CSIR to register their patents. I think as there are huge opportunities as prospective entrepreneurs, as startup entrepreneurs, and I think the whole startup mission is now being launched. A whole startup mission. I'll just close this. Sorry, a whole startup mission is being launched, which will be unfolded in the next 2 to 3 months. The challenge really is about providing impetus to young people to drive them. But one of the very unique initiative is the program which SIDBI has launched, and it's a Make in India loan for small enterprises. It's called SMILE. So those of you who are young entrepreneurs, they're offering quasi-equity and term-based short-term loans to Indian SMEs with very little rules and regulations. And they have focus on all the 25 thrust sectors of Make in India. But in addition to this, they've launched the Mudra Bank, the micro unit development refinance agency, Mudra Bank. And what it's doing is that under Mudra Yojana, their interventions are being provided in the forms of loans up to 50,000 for Shishu. That scheme is called Shishu, up to 50,000, between 50,000 to 5 lakhs for Kishore, and for 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs called Tarun, to signify stages of growth development. And this is really to help this thing. But SIDBI has also launched a very good India Aspiration Fund to assist venture funds who can take help. But in terms of startups and manufacturing, there's some very, very innovative startups which have happened in India. I don't want to give you case studies, but if some of you want to go onto the net and check up, Silab Tech is one. There is Sense Zij, which is another one. Adrin, ET these are all in the field of manufacturing, which I'm talking of. These are very, very fascinating initiatives, but huge amount of very unique initiatives in the world of startups which have happened not merely in digital but the manufacturing world. But there's a new NCAR study which some of you would like to see, the National Council of Applied Economic Research, and what it shows that actually India is becoming increasingly a middle class society, and that by 2024-25 almost 48% of India will be middle class, and the whole focus will shift from caste and religion to road infrastructure, highways, electricity, etc. People will vote. People will vote for growth, people will vote for infrastructure, people will not vote on caste and religious lines. And this is increasingly happening. And I think the challenge is for India is to ensure that good politics becomes good governance, and that good Indians must vote for good governance. And if we vote for good governance, then you'll always get good politics. And good politics and good governance must converge and must integrate together. With these few words, ladies and gentlemen, I'll end my presentation. Thank you very much.